Live with the guy, Monday through Friday. Today we're talking, let's see over on the iPad here, Bluey, South Park, and the Street Fighter live action movie. The Street Fighter live action movie may already be suffering from DEI when I looked at the casting. That being said, Street Fighter has a built-in fan base with these esports. I was watching a documentary the other day, and I didn't realize it went from my generation to this new generation. There are multi-generational fans of Street Fighter, so this movie could potentially be big if it is done right. Let's say hi to my producer, Nat, over here.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Well, I was a little disappointed in the camera yesterday. Everything seemed a little bit yellow, so hopefully I fixed it today. Let's get right into this Bluey article, actually.
Oh, hold on. You put it at the end.
Oh, I put it at the end. They're a little bit out of order, so let's let her reorganize this. But Disney needs to kind of take notes of Bluey because they didn't actually create Bluey, even though they own some licensing rights, not all licensing rights. And if Disney can't fix the company and start making things like Bluey themselves, they're in big trouble here. Okay.
Your microphone is muted.
The whole time?
No, just when I went to the article.
Okay, so we'll go into this article a little bit here, but anytime you see Bluey on Disney Plus, if it's in the top 10, but it's not number one, it's because Disney's again manipulating their top 10 to promote other things other than Bluey because it's not an original creation. And eventually they may lose the licensing for that if they don't pay big. Okay, let's go into this real quick.
The results are in, and the streaming landscape was once again primarily dominated by acquired content in the first half of the year, according to a new report from Nielsen. The company released a ranking Monday of the top 20 streaming titles from January to June, ranging from a whopping 25.1 billion minutes viewed for the number 1 title, Bluey, to a solid 10.5 billion for number 20, South Park. The 3 streaming-only titles that made the list
One moment. What place was South Park in there?
20.
And we're going to get into that in a little bit because that's an odd place for South Park to be. South Park's not currently being aired and it's really hard to find. There is a kind of an internal battle going on there, but let's get back to Bluey really quick.
Where? That's it.
Okay. So yeah, did you know Bluey was this big?
I mean, I did, but
yeah, I
don't know anything about it.
I know Bluey's extremely huge just because I do this pop culture news. And when it pops up, it's amazing the ratings this thing gets. It's number one all over the place, especially for kids content. This thing is really easy to make because of the animation. And this is going to kind of get into our through line today, which is AI and creatives. Bluey is going to be really easy to make an animated series like this with AI very soon. The difference between AI making it and a human being making it is the storylines and the creative input that a human being has. So it's very important that Disney finds creatives. So when AI starts taking over more animation and more movies, the thing that's going to set a good movie apart from a bad movie is really the creativity in the storyline and the values of the movie, the messaging of the movie and things like that. Over the last 10 years, the messaging of these movies have gone really off of the rails. Okay, maybe we can go into South Park here, and that's the next story, and that kind of related to the Nielsen ratings just a little bit. And I think we had an article come up a few weeks ago. Do you remember this situation with me and you? He was saying, F the company, blah, blah, blah. And you said, well, I don't think it's a big deal. Come to find out, it's a huge deal involving almost $3 billion. Okay, let's go into the headline here and then maybe read a little bit of the story.
So, from The Hollywood Reporter, inside the $3 billion South Park fight that may blow up its future, Paramount Global believed it had a framework for an agreement with series creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Skydance, the studio's likely imminent new owner, balked at the terms. The South Park creators have brought on Bulldog negotiator Brian Friedman to turn up the heat.
Yeah, and HBO and this company needs to get this thing in line. They have the rights to re-sign here and renegotiate this contract. If it's going to cost them $3 billion, it's going to cost them $3 billion. Let's look from both sides of this equation right now. If you're looking at from the creatives, this is a great IP. It's a classic IP. It has a huge built-in fan base, and the creators of this really know how to push the boundaries within politics and pop culture. This is a very important franchise. If they let this go, somebody else is easily going to pick it up for either $3 billion or more. Plus, you have all the merchandising that goes kind of along with this. What do you think about this South Park issue so far?
I've never really watched South Park.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Okay, I think it's worth the money, not necessarily just because of the IP and the toys, but because of the main creators that are connected with this. They really know how to push the boundaries within the writer's room, and they've stayed relevant within pop culture generation after generation here. So let's go a little bit more into this, and then I'll give another talking point here.
The premiere for the 27th season of South Park later this month is in serious doubt amid wrangling between series creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Paramount Global, and incoming studio owner Skydance, The Hollywood Reporter has learned. At the heart of the dispute, a new 10-year, $3 billion overall deal for Parker and Stone that would more than triple the valuation of the current deal that expires in 2027, according to people familiar with the situation. Park County, the South Park pair's entertainment company, believes it struck a basic framework with Paramount Global on an agreement. I think that Paramount pre-acquisition was interested in a broader range of possibilities than would have been approved by Skydance and Redbird, an insider close to the negotiations says.
And let's pause it there. And I think this thing isn't currently airing, or they're not airing new episodes. So this is really hurting within the contract negotiations. That being said, I just gave the reasons why you would want to sign them. And if HBO doesn't sign them, somebody else is definitely picking this property up. This property is really approaching its prime with the cultural transitional shift that is happening right now. So why wouldn't they want to pick it up? Or if they're trying to play a hardball, maybe why? The politics of South Park can be kind of go against this progressive ideology that's constantly being pushed by the mainstream. And maybe HBO or the executives within these production companies have an axe to grind, so they want to lowball them. Or number two, which is far more likely, is they may be scared of cancellation. South Park does really push the boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay. And that being said, you don't want a broad scale cancellation coming not just after South Park, but the studio as a whole. Now, that being said, we've just kind of come to the end of this progressive cancellation era, and South Park not only survived it, but they pushed the boundaries the entire time. With the cultural shift now happening away from this progressive cancellation, South Park's going to have a lot more freedom to work here. They don't have to fear cancellation as much, but maybe the studio executives are living in a bubble here and don't understand the true value of this property, especially coming out of this era of cancellation. They're going to really be able to somewhat dictate a little bit of what the new boundaries are within mainstream media and things like that. Do you know, we did talk a little bit about the Pandaverse. Was that the episode where they really pushed the boundaries and had the DEI episode of Cartman was a fat black woman and blah, blah, blah? Do you remember that?
Yes. But that was a while ago.
That was a while ago, yeah. But it seemed like the trades negotiations started happening directly after that. And maybe the studio really was a little bit angry at that. And you got to wonder, Kathleen Kennedy, is she looming somewhere in the background? I know she's not directly attached with those studios, but she does have quite the pull in Hollywood, and she has a ton of connections. She really does not like South Park because they keep poking her and putting her in the front of kind of progressive pop culture. You have anything for South Park before we move on here?
No.
Not much. Okay. Well,
Superman?
Well, I kind of talked about it. Well, maybe let's stick with South Park for just a minute. I did talk a little bit about Bluey, how the Bluey animation is going to be really easy for AI to create soon. So a lot of people in the animation department may be losing their jobs, but Bluey is really the creatives behind it, and the family values and things behind Bluey is what gives it its mass appeal. So the creatives within the Bluey space are very important, but that same framework kind of goes into South Park. South Park is going to be very easy to produce for AI, and it's going to cut a lot of costs down, potentially, if they do get rid of animators and animating it the traditional way that they do. That being said, what can't be replaced are the two owners of South Park, who are the creatives that push these political boundaries over and over again for multi-generations here. They really are tip of the spear on kind of what's okay, what's not okay, or even knowing what's not okay, and then just pushing past the boundaries. Those creators of South Park, even without the animation team, that's kind of what you're paying for here. Okay, let's go into Superman. We're going to make this one quick because I covered it a ton on Friday, and I covered it a ton yesterday as well.
So from Variety, Superman soars to 125 million, third biggest box office opening weekend of 2025.
Yeah, and I would take that headline with definitely a grain of salt. We've seen Jurassic Park, the biggest box office. Now Superman, biggest box office. They're manipulating these box office numbers. They're having a full week to have pre-releases to incorporate that into the box office total for the opening weekend. Why this is important? Because it's not an authentic box office number. And some people might say, what do you mean it's not authentic? They got, go back to the headline there. They got 125 million domestically. How is that not a true box office number? Because it affects the next weekend. Because so many people have seen it, not just on the opening week, but all the pre-showings. Not as many people are unexposed to the movie. Therefore, the second weekend are having huge drop-offs, especially in 2025. This is because they're manipulating these opening weekends to have a full opening week. So more and more people are going to see this initial run. Therefore, you're having a 50, 60, 70% drop-off in the second week for a lot of these movies. One of the movies that was able to kind of buck this was Sinners. It performed week after week after week. Then again, they didn't manipulate that opening weekend box office numbers by having a full opening week. Let's read a little bit of this article.
Superman can lift up collapsing buildings, Godzilla-sized monsters, and now the box office. Superman, the newly rebooted comic book adventure starring David Cornsweet as the Man of Steel, flew to 125 million in its first weekend of release. Monday's actual tally was above Sunday's estimate of 122 million. Those are strong ticket sales, enough to rank as the year's third largest debut after a Minecraft movie and Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, and I've kind of talked about this quite a bit, especially when talking about superhero movies or specifically Superman. The budgets of these movies are far too big. They're in the hundreds of millions of dollars. To recoup that money plus the marketing budget is extremely hard. That being said, Hollywood really has two options. You're either going to continue to make these high budget movies, or you're going to learn to make movies on a much better budget like Godzilla Plus One. Making good films, you can still have special effects and everything else. It just takes a lot more in the planning stages. That being said, if they do want to keep making extremely high budget movies in the hundreds of millions of dollars in order to kind of monopolize theaters and things like this, kind of excluding low budget movies from even getting into theaters, that may be why they want to make $100 million movies. But if they do that, they're going to need more advertising revenue, and they're going to need more basic revenue streams. What does that mean? Right now, you have the theater box office as the revenue stream, and then it goes straight to streaming. And you used to have DVD sales. You no longer have that. They kind of need to, if they want to keep making high budget movies, find that DVD market again. I understand there is no DVDs, but if you go to theaters, and then when you go to streaming for 3 months and you charge for it, even if it's a nominal fee of $5, it's still bringing in a lot of revenue for the company. And then from there, you can go to free streaming, maybe 6 or 8 months after you've done the box office, you've done paid streaming, and now free streaming. I don't necessarily like that. I'm sure nobody else is going to like it, but it is a way to bring back what is lost DVD sales and things like this. The next thing they can potentially do, and again, I don't like this. These are just ways to nickel and dime, but these movie studios are going to have to nickel and dime the consumer if they want to keep making $100 million movies. Now, if they don't want to make $100 million movies, they don't necessarily have to nickel and dime people, and they can just make good movies again. That being said, the other way is more advertising revenue. How do you bring more advertising revenue into a theater? You're already at capacity for pre-advertisement on a movie. So now you can add a bathroom break in the middle of the movie where you can add advertising before and after that bathroom break. And then you can potentially put a cut scene after the credits and then add a commercial there as well. Again, I do not like these ideas, but I could see them going there in order to bring extra advertising revenue to somehow justify these $100 million movies. I personally think they're going to go to a much tighter budgeting of movies and maybe even make multiple studios under one main studio. This happened a lot in the 90s where you had a lot of these specialty studios that were making much lower budget films that were still very good, that had distribution and everything like that through their main studio heads that they were attached to. So I think that's kind of where Hollywood is going to be headed. That being said, AI is going to be a problem here again because independent creators on YouTube and stuff like this may be at a 3 right now, and Hollywood may be at, let's just say they're at a 9 or a 10 as far as the visuals on a movie. You start bringing AI in here, the creators on YouTube are going to be able to bring their content up to a 6 or a 7 visually, while the studios are only maintaining a 9 or a 10. The gap between that is very small, and the difference between a good script and a bad script, well, a good script can bring a 6 to a 10, and a bad script can bring a 10 down to a 6. So that margin between YouTube creator and actual Hollywood studios is marginal at that point, and it has to do more with script writing and creatives. And I just talked about that a minute ago when we talked about Bluey and South Park and how the creative aspect is very important. And YouTube kind of has a monopoly on creators right now. They have a huge amount of creators. I'm not going to be surprised of once AI is in full-fledged distribution and content creators are using AI to really compete with Hollywood studios and really pitch their storylines. If Hollywood studios don't start coming to YouTube creators and creatives in general and kind of signing them to exclusive contracts. What do you think?
Yeah.
Very talkative to producer.
Well, you went off there, so I was trying to check something while you were doing that.
Okay, let's go into the next story here. And that is going to be, wait 1 second.
Evan Rachel Wood?
Yeah, Evan Rachel Wood and Practical Magic 2.
So from queer news site Them.
Okay, first of all, I didn't know a lot about this story. I read into it this morning, and there was a few things that came up that I did find interesting, though. So let's go into it.
So Evan Rachel Wood says she was not asked to come back to Practical Magic 2. The actress released a statement about reprising her role as Kylie Owens.
And yeah, do you know anything about this or this actress?
I know about this actress.
Okay, so you did know about it.
The Me Too lady.
Yeah, so this is the Me Too lady. What they potentially have is the way she treated her partner was a Johnny Depp situation with
Marilyn Manson.
Amber Heard.
Yeah.
So she's potentially a future Amber Heard. And studios are very wary of this now, and they want to avoid cancellation now before this movie really gets off of the ground. And I think this is going to affect more than just Rachel Wood here. This is going to affect how studios go forward with a lot of actors and actresses that talk politics or have been involved in movements like Me Too or have scandals surrounding them. They're going to want safer bets that can't destroy billion-dollar franchises or $100 million franchises before they get off the ground. Let's talk about this actress and this movie more in general.
Do you want me to read into it?
Yeah, she's the third actress on here. So there's two heavyweights already in here. What are the other two actresses? Is Nicole Kidman and, what's the other girl's name? She's actually my favorite from Speed.
Well, I see Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
I don't know what this movie is, but
yeah. So it's Sandra Bullock, and I think it's Nicole Kidman, the other actresses. So those are the two heavy hitters. It's very easy for them to cut this actress, especially with the scandals that have kind of surrounded her. Okay, let's read a little bit about this.
Practical Magic 2 is sounding rather impractical. Actress Evan Rachel Wood, who appeared in the 1998 film Practical Magic as Kylie Owens, the eldest daughter of Sandra Bullock's Sally Owens, confirmed in an Instagram post that not only was she not asked to be a part of the upcoming sequel, but that she was offered to be a part of the production and was apparently turned down.
Yeah. Wait, read that last sentence again.
She asked to be a part of the production and she was turned down.
Okay. Yeah, she did want to be a part of this. And if I were her, I would have wanted to be a part of this too. I mean, especially when Sandra Bullock's involved with the movie, that could really affect her career in the future. Sandra Bullock makes her own movies. She has her own production company, things like that. So working with Sandra Bullock could have been a long-term benefit for her. That being said, studios aren't going to want to take risks on these people that can get not only them canceled, but all their films canceled. And this is kind of what I was talking with South Park earlier when I said maybe HBO is a little bit scared of a broader cancellation because South Park does always push the boundaries. I don't think that's the case, but it could be. And maybe they're thinking, how much money do they want to invest in South Park? It being $3 billion. There's a potential wider cancellation that can happen coming out of that South Park that could potentially affect the studio one day. And I think that's how they're kind of looking at this movie here with this actress. It's just not the juice isn't worth the squeeze here. Bad things could potentially come upon this movie. And the movie can't be that big of a movie because did you even hear about the first one of these?
No, I think it has like a cult following, but it wasn't from my time.
Yeah, I don't know if it was. I had never heard about this movie before.
I mean, it's from my time, but it wasn't big here in Mexico.
Okay, I hadn't heard about this movie before I read this article. I did know about the actress a little bit, but I can definitely understand why they're choosing not to cast her here, and especially with Sandra Bullock probably having some pull behind the scenes. She's probably saying this isn't a good idea. Okay, let's go into the next article, and that's going to be Blumhouse undergoing layoffs.
So from Deadline, Blumhouse undergoes layoffs in film and television.
And there's a lot of studios doing layoffs right now. We're constantly covering this. There's also been a lot of, what do you call it when two studios come together?
Merger?
Yeah, there's been a ton of mergers lately. And within those mergers, there's been a ton of layoffs they've been able to hide. Let's go into this article and then we'll talk about layoffs in general within Hollywood.
Blumhouse has laid off 6 staffers across film, only 6 staffers across film, television, and casting, Deadline has learned. A spokesperson for the independent studio, which employs around 100 people, confirmed that due to restructuring, 6 roles were impacted last week. Those departing are believed to include largely junior-level executives and support staff, with manager creative development Haley Pigman, who has worked on such Blumhouse movies as the March release of The Woman in the Yard, directed by Jean Collet-Serra, among them.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting how Hollywood kind of approaches this. And the through line today has been AI and creatives. And with this transition happening in Hollywood, we all know AI is kind of coming to big filmmaking. What this is going to mean is probably smaller teams can do more. The one position that can't be replaced by these studios are creatives. And it's going to be interesting to find out, do they know this? Because they can fire their HR department and a lot of their executives as long as they start signing good creatives to long-term contracts. The studios that do that I think are going to have long-term success. What do I kind of mean by that? If you look at creatives in the studio role, kind of in a military aspect. In the military, you have the infantry or the frontline soldier. From there, you probably have 1,000 different MOSs or careers all set up and designed to kind of support the infrastructure of the infantry or the frontline combat soldier. Who represents that frontline soldier within a studio are the creatives. They're the ones really at the heart of everything. Without them, you have nothing. Just like in the military, without the frontline soldier, you don't have a military. Without the creative, you don't really have a studio. So studios really need to transition away from this idea of human resources and executives into, let's find creatives. And if they do that, they're going to realize, just by the situation YouTube has kind of been in, they have a monopoly on creatives right now. Not that they're in exclusive contracts, but that's kind of where independent creatives are kind of gathered. And a lot of creatives that are going into Hollywood are really cutting their teeth in YouTube and then venturing off into commercial ventures or even mainstream film production and things like this. Did you have anything here?
Yes.
Well, yes. Yes, you have something, or yes,
you have a bunch of stories I don't really know much about, so.
Okay,
sorry.
Well, that's fine. Oh God, what was I going to say here?
Superman?
No.
Spider-Man?
No, I was trying to get usually I ask you a question because I want you to have a talking point, so then I can kind of read over my notes and then give my other talking point. But
okay, let me try to think about Blumhouse.
No.
Blumhouse.
Let's go into the next story here, and that's going to be Tom Holland and Spider-Man. And again, I would take this headline with a grain of salt here.
From Variety, Tom Holland says Spider-Man Brand New Day will go back to old school filmmaking and shoot in real locations as after Bad Times restricted No Way Home to sound stages.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves here. Spider-Man is going to be a ton of CGI. Of all the superhero movies, Spider-Man always has a ton of it. The actor that plays Spider-Man, in at least half of the movie, it's a CGI version of him, not even him in a spider suit. So studios are realizing people are craving real cinema, authentic cinema, less CGI. So they kind of want to promote that in the headlines. But the fact is, as much as they want to promote this as being authentically filmed, it's a lot of CGI and a lot of studio. And people are kind of turned off by that because they've had an overfeeding of that over the last 10 years.
Well, Tom Holland is known for opening his mouth when he's not supposed to. So, I mean, maybe he's just talking out of his mouth.
Well, no, I think the studio likes this kind of publicity. They're trying to have this narrative lie that, Spider-Man's authentically filmed. Come on. I mean, who's going to believe that? Maybe a normie that doesn't really think about it will.
Well, I mean, they might now also with AI technology and other technologies may be able to blend more real life sets with CGI because it might be easier. So that actually might be real, that they're filming in real locations, but then implementing CGI to do the things that humans can't do. But yes, with the success of, anything Tom Cruise has done and practical effects, I think more studios are realizing people appreciate that, and they also appreciate seeing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think people do appreciate it. I don't think that this is what this movie is going to be, and the fact that you're kind of buying into it, well, maybe this, maybe that. I think people really need to realize, when a film is authentically made, they're going to really show behind the scenes and show their work. F1 did this. Mission Impossible did a lot of this. Yeah, I understand there was still CGI in there, but they showed the work of the behind the scenes. And I really don't think Spider-Man's going to be able to show their work through YouTube videos and stuff like this, how this thing was authentically filmed. But that being said, maybe people will have more of a view like you and think maybe Spider-Man can be authentically filmed. That being said, in the Blumhouse article, I was going to say we do have this through line of kind of AI, and I believe studios are going to have to go more low budget, more into scripting and creatives. So the fact that they're making cuts, I think is also kind of showing that theory that maybe studios are going to have sub-studios and really make content for very specific audiences and things like this.
So Tom Holland recently spoke to Flip Your Wig via IGN at his first ever barrel paddle.
Well, we're done with this article now.
Okay, fine.
No.
So I was going to read what he meant by old school. I kind of want to know what they mean.
Okay, let's read it a little bit then.
They're just saying they want to lean into that old school filmmaking and shoot in real locations, which is why we're starting in Glasgow. We're going to use the streets of Glasgow for this massive set piece that we are putting together. So essentially, they're just not going to film in sound stages, which
No.
is possible to do.
But that's not what the headline said. Did you read the headline?
Yeah.
What the headline said?
Old school filmmaking and shoot in real locations.
Keep reading.
After COVID restricted
Them to sound stages. So they've done a ton of sound stages shooting because that's all they could do. And now they're trying to say, well, we're not all sound stages. They're going to finish up this movie in real locations, but the majority of shooting was done on sound stages because of COVID. But I don't think it's just because of COVID. I think it's because it's a superhero movie. What?
I made a big effort not to say the word, and then you said it twice.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it for this stream.
So Rafa says El hombre que araña or the man who scratches, but it doesn't make sense in English.
I'm glad
the man who spiders.
I'm glad Rafa's here. We did watch Tickle Me Emo today. Yeah. You did recommend it. You brought it up on your phone there.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was basically me when I was 15 years old.
I
went through an emo phase that I'm not proud of.
I was actually going to get the Tickle Me Emo clip for today, but I don't have my X account here. And when I tried to find it on X, I couldn't find it. So it wasn't going to be easily incorporated in our back studio. Maybe tonight we'll have a clip of Tickle Me Emo on our political show at night. Okay. Now this next story was really good. It was the headline caught me for sure.
Okay.
And I knew nothing about this series, and I still know nothing about this series. But this is the wrong way to kind of promote a series.
From The Hollywood Reporter, This Summer I Turned Pretty warns fans will be banned for any hate speech or bullying against cast, crew amid season 3 premiere. The Prime Video series posted a message on its social media accounts ahead of the Jenny Han series' premiere on Wednesday.
This is how you cancel your show before it even hits the stage. Okay, people want more hate speech. People want these shows to press the limits, and they're not only going to probably not press the limits because they don't want to risk their own cancellation, but they're telling fans, we're going to cancel you if you hate on us. What do you think that does? That's the Streisand effect. They're going to go there. They're going to write a ton of hate comments. It's going to make headlines, and it's going to make the wrong kind of headlines for this thing. If they start banning people from making comments, those people are going to go straight to Rotten Tomatoes and places like this and give it bad reviews.
Well, that's also kind of the strategy that Disney and a bunch of other production houses with male fans have been trying to do for who knows how long, saying, oh, you're a bad person, fans are toxic, etc. But putting it out there so blatantly, I think this might be a more female-oriented series. So I don't know if it will receive the same kind of backlash that a male one would.
Well, I'm going to go look at this
kind of stuff.
But I'm going to go look at it, and I'm going to go give it a bad review and some bad comments, hopefully trying to get banned from them. That being said, yeah, you're right. They usually come out and say, oh, you're racist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're that, if you don't like this film. This one, they're giving a direct threat saying, we're going to ban you if you have any hate speech. They haven't even defined what hate speech is.
Also, what does it mean fans will be banned? Will be banned from their social media accounts?
Yeah, from comments on X and other Facebook, stuff like this. But why don't we read it just to confirm that? I think that's what I read earlier, though.
Fans may be ready to return to Cousin's speech for a third and final time when The Summer I Turned Pretty returns on Wednesday, but Prime Video is giving a warning ahead of time. I thought Jeff Bezos had said that he didn't want to do all of the, banning.
Yeah, well, Jeff Bezos doesn't have total control over everything. And a little series like this or a little show like this kind of goes under the radar. A lot of real executives in Amazon aren't going to realize what's going on. So when something like this comes out, Amazon needs to kind of realize what's going on and drop the hammer on this series, because this is the kind of thing that can have a wider cancellation on not just the show, but start spreading to Amazon in general. And that's what we were talking again about South Park maybe being a liability from the studio's point of view of having a wider cancellation. I'm just shocked that the creators of this series and the marketing people are putting this out there. Maybe they're thinking any publicity is good publicity, and if we threaten to cancel the fans, that's going to make headlines.
The official social media account for the Prime Video series on Monday cautioned viewers against bullying and hate speech ahead of season 3 premiere, which will offer the last chapter in TSITP universe and a conclusion to the series' ongoing love triangle. Cousins is our safe place, the post reads. Everything good, everything magical. Let's keep the conversation kind this summer. We have a zero tolerance policy for bullying and hate speech. If you engage in any of the following, you will be banned. The
Okay,
post
hold on.
added-
I said they didn't define what hate speech was. Maybe they're going to do it now. And let's see what it is.
If you engage in any of the following, you will be banned. The post added before listing community guidelines, including no hate speech or bullying, targeting our cast or crew, and harassing or doxing members of the community. And there it is.
That was their hate speech. I'm sure it's much broader
That's
than
very
that.
ugly branding as well. Sorry.
Yeah, this is shocking. And this is going to be a one-off because I don't think any other studio is going to be idiotic enough to threaten to cancel fans for having a difference of opinions with the creator of that show. I think nobody that was going to watch the show was going to really go to their social media and give bad comments. Fans of the show are typically going to like the show and give good comments. So just let the bad comments kind of be or delete them as needed. Now you're making people writing articles like this. People are going to intentionally seek out the social media of this series to leave bad comments and try to get banned so they can maybe talk about it.
Sorry, I was trying to hear if there was an earthquake alarm, but I think I'm going crazy.
That's just the dogs in the background.
Based on the best-selling book trilogy from Jenny Han, and I've wanted to keep doing something about this, but all of these young adult novels that come out almost self-published in the book talk world, which if you're a male, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But I like the young adult fanfic and fiction stuff is getting, in my opinion, a bit out of hand, and their community is very like this. So a lot of the people that might be fans of the show might actually be and praise them, like be happy for this and praise them for it. I, of course, don't. I think it's ridiculous, but
I wouldn't think so because I think what's going to happen, their fans are going to naturally be in their comment sections of their social media. And then you're going to have people like me going in there and harassing everybody in the comments, trying to get banned. So it's going to bring a lot of undue attention, not only to the series, but the series fans who are already in the comments. So it's going to be interesting. This can turn into a little bit of a publicity war if they want. Okay, let's go into the next story here. And that's the main story, actually. I don't know why I placed it at the end, but I did. And that was Street Fighter, the live action movie.
From Deadline, Street Fighter cast, who's in the live action arcade film adaptation.
Okay, and I had talked about this a little while ago, but I got a little bit more educated on this recently. On my YouTube recommendations, a lot of esports things have been kind of popping up for me lately, and I didn't realize, I knew Call of Duty and stuff like this were big within esports. I didn't know fighting games, and specifically Street Fighter was one of the largest viewed esports games, and it has a huge following mainly because of one person that actually fights in the game that's very showboaty when he does it, but people absolutely love Street Fighter in the younger generation. And I'm from the older generation, and this was definitely part of my youth. So I like Street Fighter as well. This has multiple built-in fan bases. What built-in fan base does it have? 18 to about 50 or 18 to 45 males. Make this for 18 to 45-year-old males and you're going to succeed. Don't make this thing for children. Don't try to make it for women. 18 to 45-year-old males, if you make it for that group, it will succeed, and it will probably have a good rub on to children and into a female fan base as well. But they need to direct it, again, 18 to 45-year-old males. Let's read a little bit about it. Oh, kind of how esports have been popping up in my YouTube feed. B-boxing has been popping up for you.
Yeah. For some reason, I went into a deep YouTube spiral about beatboxing, and it's pretty amazing what people can do these days.
And she keeps trying to show it to me, and I'm like, I seen it 10 years ago.
But it's different.
And I'm kind of brushing her off just to annoy her, but she did show me a couple of videos, and I actually was very impressed. There's this Russian guy that doesn't have an arm. He has a plastic arm, and he not only beatboxes, but
the main thing.
He beatboxes and sings. For me, that was the important thing.
Tara Stanin, Improver, and Wing, I think, are amazing. And because the video from Shazam came up for me. Shazam, and I kind of went in. I think it's this German guy, but he speaks English, and he does a lot of beatboxing reviews and kind of walks you through it. But it is amazing what these guys can do.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was almost thinking there has to be audio in the background that they're beatboxing over top.
No, they do. I mean, when it's edited videos, when they're self-publishing their videos, they of course use reverb and they change some stuff on the mics, and sometimes they lay some of the things over it, but most of it doesn't. And then if you watch them live, you can actually, because they do beatboxing competitions, which I also got into. When you watch them live, you can really tell they can do at least most of it, and it is very impressive. So yeah, if you want to go into a
the Japanese, or was he Korean?
No, he's South Korean. His name is Wing. Look up Dopamine by Wing.
He was skillfully better at beatboxing, but I like the Russian guy with no arm that could sing and beatbox, because the singing brought a completely different element to it. And when he was singing, he could sing low baritone things, and he could do many different voices, which worked great with the beatboxing.
Stop calling him the Russian guy without an arm. His name is Taras Stanin.
Okay, I can't say that. So for now, he's the Russian guy without an arm, and I'm going to tell him, if he's watching, the fact that you're a Russian guy with an arm is a good way to promote yourself, because it sticks in people's head.
And now
because the Asian guy is just the Asian guy to me.
Yeah, he's very like clean cut, which is interesting. The Wing, the South Korean guy.
Okay, back to Street Fighter now, though. Sorry, we got off on a beatboxing tangent there. Do you want to beatbox for us?
No, I don't know how to.
Okay.
But yeah, check out Shazam. I don't know how to say his name.
Back to Street Fighter here. That's the important thing. People don't want to know about the beatboxing.
Fans have been waiting decades for a new live-action Street Fighter adaptation since the 1994 camp cult classic starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia, Kylie Minogue, and Ming-Na Wen. Now, after more than 2 years in development, a new film is finally in the works. The film will be directed by Kitao Sakurai, who has taken over the project from Bring Her Back filmmakers Danny and Michael Philippou, and is set to be released in 2026 through Legendary. The film adaptation is being...
Pause it for a quick second. I want you to scroll down the article all the way to the bottom for me. Okay, it does have it. Stay here for a second. Okay, so this was the article I was reading over earlier. I just wanted to confirm that was the one we grabbed for the show, because she kind of grabs the articles. And like I said, this has 2 built-in fan bases between the ages of 18 and 50. That is a big sector it can appeal to. Plus, a lot of the people that do independent pop culture reviews like me are males in that demographic. So if they do this movie right, it will have a huge independent push. People generally like this IP property. The issue they're going to have, when I started looking over the actors, I said, okay, yeah, well, they got some big name actors. They're kind of fitting the look somewhat. I like it, until I started getting to the Caucasian characters. And it's like, they're trying to force DEI possibly in this movie when it's only in the casting process. Like, I'm talking specifically about Ken here. Let's go down and look at these actors. And I hope they do a good job, and I hope they don't put messaging in here, or they don't put a bunch of DEI. I hope they do this thing right. I want to like this movie, and that's me being upfront.
Do you want me to read them all, or just go through it?
No, we'll just go through and then look at the character and then look at the actor that's playing him, because I think they have both. So we have Saget here, and if he shaves his head, he could look like him a lot.
It says it's dollism.
Huh?
This is dollism.
Okay, let's continue to go down. Yeah. And again, the character looks like the person. Let's keep going down. Character looks like the person, potentially Ryu. Let's keep going down.
He needs a lot more muscle.
Yeah, he can bulk up for the role. I'm just talking. Okay, here's Ken. This is the American blonde-headed guy that lived in Japan. The 2 actors don't look anything alike. And this is the problem. All the other actors looked like the character. This is the first one that doesn't. It looks like they're trying to push DEI casting.
Well, this is another kid that got really popular off of those young adult adaptations. So yes, I think that's why Noah Centineo is in it, because he became very famous in all of these Netflix young adult telenovela style
There's no reason to push DEI into this game. Why? Because as we went down the list...
I mean, it's not super DEI. They could dye his hair.
Let me finish my point here. The point is, they don't need to force DEI into this movie, because we just went down the character list. You have an Indian guy, a Japanese guy, a Chinese guy. You already have DEI basically built into the script. There's no reason to force the Caucasian characters to be DEI castings. You already have enough checkboxes naturally checked in this movie by who the characters kind of are.
But this is the only one, or is there more?
We can continue to go down and look. Again, it looks like her. That's supposed to be Chong Li. That's probably one of the most iconic female characters. M. Bison, which this is supposed to be a big Russian guy. This guy looks like he's from the community, LGBTQ+. You needed a bulky big guy. This was the final boss on the video game. And again, it may not be DEI based upon skin tone, but it's definitely DEI based on the community, at least looking at the guy.
I mean, he does play a lot of evil Russian characters, but...
Okay, let's continue to go down. And
he
this
looks
is
exactly the same.
This is Guile, yeah. So he looks more like the M. Bison role that the other guy should have played.
Jason Momoa.
Oh, the Momoa is in there. Look at that. Is that a DEI because he's not green? 50 Cent is in there. Wow, they're really... I didn't go down all the list. I got to about Ken, and then I started getting a little bit pissed about the DEI.
Up until now, it's only been Noah Centineo.
And let's go back up to 50 Cent for a minute. 50 Cent, this is not... This wasn't one of the major... this was M. Bison. Okay, let's continue to go down.
That guy.
Okay, let's continue. And this was the character right here with M. Vega that could have been LGBTQ community. He kind of gives that vibe off in the video game rather than making M. Bison the LGBTQ casting character.
I mean, we don't know if they made him LGBTQ.
No, I'm just going based upon appearances here.
Okay. Don't judge a book.
Oh, he's in there. He's and you know Andrew Schultz, yeah?
Yeah, they misspelled his name.
He's obviously in there to promote the thing through his podcast. I mean, and I'm expecting to see more and more of this stuff by studios. They're going to start hiring major influencers to be actors in these movies so they promote them for free publicity on their podcasts. And they can promote it in such a way where it's not contrived because he was actually in the movie. So he's going to be able to tell stories from on set rather than just saying, go see this movie. Okay. That's good for that. So I do want to like this movie. I'm not too harsh. All we're seeing is the casting so far. I'm really hoping that they don't put a bunch of messaging in this. I hope they promote this to a male audience and they don't try to broaden it out too far.
That's it.
That's it for today.
Well, we do have a bunch of comments from Rafa, so thank you. First one, Rafa says, haha, hope it wasn't too cringy for Tickle Me Elmo.
I thought it was pretty funny. So that was Tickle Me Emo if the rest of the audience wants to know what we're talking about.
He said, I'm into that type of humor. What's cringy is me at 15 thinking that putting on way too much eyeliner and using a stud belt and wearing all black would make me emo. It lasted about 6 months, which is too long.
Oh, you were a fat emo at that time.
Rafa says, I need to watch that old Street Fighter movie. It must be a gem.
Oh, no, it's not good. And it was Van Damme, and I loved Van Damme at the time. So for him to play Guile, but you got a guy with a French accent playing the American character. They didn't do the first one very good. That's why I'm really hoping they get it right this time.
And Rafa also says John Cena could also be a Guile.
Oh yeah, they need bigger characters because as the video game went on in the more new editions, which I kind of researched recently, the characters are getting more and more bulky like superheroes, so they do need naturally bigger guys.
That's it.
Oh, that was it. Just Rafa.
Yes.
You said a bunch of comments.
Well, you can see them right there.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in today. I'll be back tomorrow with all the pop culture news of the day. And adios.
We'll see you tonight.
Oh,
on our politics show at, I'm not going to say what time, but Nat and the Guy live tonight on this channel. And then I have a Spanish show before that. Rafa also says we need a photo. Says we need a photo of emo Nat. No, we don't need that. Nobody needs to see that. Have a good day.